There's a lot more to training for a marathon than you'd think. Besides the typical diet, rest, and obvious training, no one really talks about the complications of sports injuries occurred along the way, which raises the bigger question that I'm determined to conquer. How do I get rid of shin splints? So let's find out. Everything online says you need proper footwear, orthotics, certain stretches, gradual increase in activity, the list goes on, and I've tried everything. Well, I guess there is one more thing. I figured if I tried all the internet's DIY solutions with no luck, I need to go further into seeking professional guidance. I found a running company that specializes on this type of work, RUNLAB. The only problem is, their nearest facility is in Austin, Texas, and that's about 17 hours away. Luckily, after stumbling upon their website, I found out they have an online self-submission portal. Perfect. I then proceeded to follow all the steps emailed to me, some general information, specific area needs, and lastly, the video and photography clips. So after sending everything in, I received a 15-page analysis 48 hours later that basically told me I suck. Well, not really. I found out that I heel strike, among many other issues, and this heel striking had not only caused me massive shin splints, but has also caused a decreased efficiency throughout my runs. I then proceeded to have a Zoom meeting with Dr. Eric Roden, who would then go more in-depth with the analysis and provide different exercises to help my running form, which would essentially help my shin splints.
As far as the front view in that same moment, that's going to be here, which you actually do a very good job. I think Colby had highlighted out as far as the angle in which your foot hits the ground. So I like to airplane landing. The more angle that you have in the foot, the greater the turbulence through the ankle joint, and the harder those muscles both in the foot and in the ankle and into the shin have to work to control that motion. Now, where things kind of fall a little bit apart in this mid is once you hit and you start accepting weight, you accept weight a little too quickly. And so what that means is your maximal bend in your knee ends up being slightly ahead of mid stance. So you are slightly ahead of your body, but you've already reached your maximal knee bend. Now, to backtrack slightly, you talked about that heel strike. He also brought up the point where you have a little bit of a decreased knee flexion moment there. So your knee is almost too straight on your landing moment. So I call it the peg-legged pirate syndrome, where people are landing like they have a very, very stiff, locked-out leg. So much ground reaction force or reverberation through your bones that you're more at risk for stress fractures, knee pain, possibly in the hip or SI, because you are hitting the ground so much harder than you need to. We've got a nice little hip drop action going here, right? And not only that, but you actually have a counter lean. So you are trying to lean this way a little bit to help compensate for the hip drop. There's arguments in the literature of like, oh, what is the best? When this moment happens in a traditional sense, we say, oh, it's glute med that needs to get work. So banded work, straight leg raises to the side planks, where we really want to beef up those lateral structures. That's not incorrect, but it's only a piece of the puzzle, right? Like you would have to have true, what I call pathological weakness for this to be occurring in your run or your walk. There is a rotational moment that occurs at that ankle. So you see how you invert the foot a little bit? You are putting extra effort through the lateral aspect of your toes. So you are pushing more through this section than you are through the medial section, or the middle or inside section. That will cause some torsion and bowing in some of these muscles up in the shin, so related to the shin splints. So again, just to review, that was that heel strike moment. You're at that 7 degrees, which is right in the middle there. That's the airplane landing. The decreased knee flexion, that's the peg-legged pirate moment, where your knee is too straight. So he's tightened up and he's a little bit more compact with this movement pattern there. So that's kind of the bit initially like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you guys do a pretty good job as far as where you end up at this point, right? So you're playing a little bit of catch up and you've almost mimicked exactly where he is in relation to how your trunk is. So you have a nice, almost parallel moment through your torso and your lower body, versus we have some people where it's like their legs over here and their torso's upright. And we don't want that, because that's inefficient and it causes bowing, and it's like you're spilling energy out unnecessarily. So you're doing a really good job in that moment. So it actually pulls back underneath him as he hits the ground. You do not pull back. You just land. This will make you so much faster. Like you are fit and you have the capability of doing a faster pace with less effort. Okay, perfect. So we're going to go for a field trip. I'm going to go into our lab room.
Okay.
And we're going to go through some exercises. I will send you some shared videos of me explaining some of these processes as far as the exercises are concerned, but I'm just going to demonstrate them live for you now, and then I'll have you try them and see what it feels like.
Okay.
All right. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so a paw back, or if you think about a horse hooving at the ground, your leg is going to go up and you're going to tuck it, right? So you saw Dr. Bauer, how he was nice and tucked, and you were a little back here.
Yeah.
It was up, down, and back. Okay, so that's your drill number one. Are you able to reposition yourself so I can see that? Yep.
Good.
Yep. Yep.
Up.
Just like that. Yep. All right, so dyno progression. We're going to go narrow stance, and I'm going to do the start of a deadlift, or more of an RDL. We're basically saying we don't want Shakira hips, we want runner's hips. So they need to be nice and active. Version 1.0 is these little tiny steps. Better.
That one I feel a little bit more in my lower back.
Okay, so if you're feeling the low back, you're getting a little twerky, so the chest is coming up a little too much. It runs down posterior to the ankle bone, like back here, or in front.
Towards the back. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't get all the way down past under.
And possibly like mid-arch. I want you only thinking about it like 30 seconds at a time, every few minutes.
Okay.
Right? Because if you overthink about it and you're super cerebral when you're running, it exhausts you, and then you kind of go down this rabbit trail of, I think I'm still doing it right, but maybe I'm not.
Yeah. At first, these exercises were intimidating. I felt like they look so easy when he does it, but I look like I'm learning to walk for the first time when I do. But after a while, day after day, warm-up after warm-up, and place after place, it got easier. It took me 2 weeks to get rid of my initial shin splints, which I got these cool ice leg sleeve things to help with the inflammation. And of course the regular ice baths. So it's been about 2 weeks now since that first initial day. Like I said, I just think it was from trying too hard to do all the mechanics that the doctor had told me, and I wanted to wait 2 weeks fully. I still have shin splints a little bit. Like if I put pressure on them, they'll still hurt a little bit, but I mean, I feel great. I just ran a mile. That was about it. I'm trying to work back into it because I got another triathlon, you know, in like a month, so I really got to build up to it because I got to end up running 6 miles or so. I'm also wearing these compression sleeves. I don't know, I heard these help as well, and I don't really like, they don't feel any more pain than it was before the run. So I mean, I feel good. So we'll keep progressing throughout the week and throughout the months, and hopefully they don't get any worse. Now it was time to start building back up, slowly but surely. The first run went well. As we build back up to 2 miles, the comeback. All right, so we're on our second week now of running back. You know, last week was the first week back after our rest. Ran a mile every day, or a few days that week. And then this week we got up to 2 miles the past 2 days, ran 2 miles. And then today I attempted to run 2 miles and my shins are killing me. Hurts to the point where it hurts to walk, which I remember Dr. Roden saying not to train anymore. My dilemma now is I have a triathlon in 2.5 weeks where I need to run 6 miles. And I'm at the point where do I just build up that next 2.5 weeks up to, you know, 3, 4, 5 miles and then just tough it out with the shin splints? Or do I rest for the next 2.5 weeks and, you know, hopefully have them heal in that time and then be able to, you know, run 6 miles? But either way, we're at a huge disadvantage right now and a major problem. So I'm gonna have to email Dr. Roden again, see what he suggests, maybe send in, you know, some more running videos or whatnot, and we'll see. Hey, I'm in pain again. I need help ASAP. So Dr. Roden emailed me back stating that he has seen improvements from the exercises, and though I'm not heel striking as much as previous, my alignment is still off, causing an indirect over-involvement of my shins. We decided it would be best to take another 2 weeks off in preparation for the 6-mile Olympic triathlon in a few weeks. After never being able to prepare for more than 3 miles, we did it. We ran 6 miles and surprisingly, with absolutely no shin pain. I think a collective arrangement of warm-up, along with predetermined exercises day after day, enabled me to run efficiently by correcting my form, which in turn corrected the injury. I learned that getting rid of shin splints is a marathon, not a sprint. It is going to take patience, practice, and commitment. It did take some trial and error, but ultimately we arrived at the goal sooner than I had originally expected. Special shout out to Dr. Roden and the team at RunLab. Running for me has always been a hassle. I've always dreaded it because of the shin splints that I would get, and though I've always been able to run through the pain, at that point it's just not enjoyable. I had to do what I had to do in the past to get through the triathlon and training and etc. But I know now that's not the way it's supposed to be. I don't have some specific gene that makes me more susceptible to getting shin splints, and it's not something that I would ultimately have throughout my whole life. It was all just temporary.